What's up, family, and welcome back to another round of My Patriot Report Live. I am Ratwan Hill. I'm here to connect the next generation to federal contracting. And with me, I have Mr. Walter Cotton III. You may know him as the individual who co-authored the legislation that created the SBA's All Small Business Mentor Protege Program. You may know him from being the first service disabled veteran on small business national spokesperson. And this is my mentor, Mr. Cotton. How you doing today, man?
I'm well. I'm well. How are you on this Freaky Friday?
Hey, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. It's a great time to be a veteran. I do know that, sir.
It's a great time to be an American.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir. Now I want to jump right into it. We talked, we saw the instance in Venezuela, the double tap instance. Uh, we know now there's talks about attacking infrastructures. So let's just get right into it. So the Geneva Convention, there's simply put, there are laws that surround war. There are laws that surround how we interface internationally when it comes to war. Is it legal? What we're doing, is it legal to make a threat of attacking the infrastructure? Does that violate Geneva Convention international laws?
Well, I don't know that the threat,
Mm-hmm.
the threat to take an action, I don't know that that violates any international laws or regulations, but it definitely disturbs perception. Because the action that you talk about, which is the disturbing of the physical infrastructure that would affect the civilian population
Yeah.
in a war environment. We do have some rules of engagement as it surrounds war to reduce the fog of war in those areas. And so the conventional brain thinks it's very imprudent for the leader of the free world to be suggesting that we, the people, are going to take actions that could be defined as illegal on an international stage. Yeah, there's something wrong with that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. My next question is, okay, with all of this going on, are we at a point where we just need to look past Congress? Because Congress essentially is the one who, I guess, how we could put it, has borders for the president. They should have some type of control of what, to the extent of what the president can do. Are we at a point where it's like, all right, guys, y'all not saying nothing or doing nothing? This is only going to be, we have to take this in our own hands.
It's interesting that you would even, bring that capability up and let that roll off your tongue so easily because we live in a country that empowers us with that capability as a result of the constitutional republic, right? Each individual's voice counts. And so, unlike other countries that have tyrannical or authoritarian governments, where it takes a revolution to achieve what they refer to as regime change. In these United States of America, we have the ability to facilitate regime change at the voting box, right? We actually have a midterm election that's coming up right now. And if we don't like what the seated Congress is doing, we have the ability to influence the trajectory of their career, the trajectory of their office without having to riot in the street. And so I really wanted to double down on that because the American people, I think, sometimes take for granted the inalienable rights that we enjoy under the Constitution. And it is clear that the articles of the Constitution that created these different branches of government, starting with the congressional branch, right? It's interesting if you look at how the framers of the Constitution created things. They didn't create the executive branch first,
Mm.
right? They created the congressional branch first, and they gave the congressional branch the authority, the power of the purse over the executive branch. And that happened because we were coming off of this tyrannical rule of the British, and we did not want to put a system in place here that would duplicate that. But be all of that as it may, we as Americans lose sight of the fact that we have systems that allow us to change the order of the chairs on the deck, right? To change the policies and procedures without having to resort to arms. That's a very important capability that we need to cherish.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But it seems like we're not taking advantage of that fact. And of course, I believe we believe that. Well, I believe that's of course by design.
It
But
is definitely by design, right? And so the idea that there isn't a invisible hand of Mr. Global, right? That is orchestrating circumstances in the favor of one group over another, right? If you're over 10 and you don't know that there are powers that be out there, then you need to wake up. And so it is clear that there has been a concerted effort to dumb down the people in these United States of America and put the populace in a position that they can be more easily conditioned and controlled. And I think that we're sitting in a situation where we're looking at the outgrowth of maximum conditioning, because we have a circumstance in this situation with Iran where we have a president that has not given the nation a reasonable, or should I say, an articulable, reasonable suspicion as to why we have attacked another nation. And that lack of justification should have already given the Congress all of the authority that they needed to impose their ability to put this action in check, to call this action in, right? And I'm kind of trying to associate this to this craziness that we have occurring on the streets, where you've got police officers, right, stopping people randomly without a reasonable articulation, reasonable, how do they say that? A reasonable suspicion, that the articulation of a suspicion there was a crime committed.
mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm losing the stream of consciousness here, because I'm trying to make a association to the fact that we don't currently have a reasonable justification for why we proactively attacked the nation of Iran. And I've listened to all of the reactive arguments that have come out of it to try to justify it after the fact. The Muslim nation and all of the terrorism that they've done historically, not wanting them to have a nuclear bomb. All of those arguments are valid arguments after the fact, but we didn't have the smoking gun necessary to justify, in my opinion, going in there and risking investing life, whether it was U.S. life or Iranian life. And until I see a justifiable reason for that, I stand on that position. We had no justification for starting this war. And as we look at the cascading failure that has been put into motion, and the economic impact and the long-term security challenges that we're going to experience in these United States as a result of that decision. It's made America less safe. It's made America less safe because we now have a foe that's hunting for American life that wasn't hunting for American life yesterday. It's made America less safe as it's changed the inflation equation in this nation. It's made things more costly. And the economic stability of these United States has now come into question. So we now need to take some actions to make America safe again. Right? We need to take some actions to make America safe again, both from a protecting ourselves against the kinetic event, as well as shoring up the economic considerations that are resulting from this buffoonery we're seeing on an international stage.
Okay, are we too far gone for the point of return? And I say that because the UAE pretty much was stating that well, they're not seizing fire. They don't appreciate the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. They're not appreciating what's going on. So, and UAE is one of our allies. Is it, and one of the biggest investors that we have when it comes to doing international business. Do you see that? Are we at the point of no return? Even if we said we step back, we would still be kind of drawn in because of our allies.
Occasionally, there are the kind of changes in the theater that require you to change the game. And the decision that was made to attack Iran, for the United States to attack Iran, has created a change in the Middle Eastern political fabric that has forever changed the equation there. And so the idea that we enjoyed this uber position with currency is being questioned, right? Our world reserve currency position is being threatened. And so I think that right now we do need to cut our losses, and reimagine what the world is going to look like without America playing the world's police force.
Mm-hmm. That's a good segue, because we touched on about the corporal, the Marine corporal who built the $10 antenna, and we have the VNRE. We've been telling people about, or we've been briefly mentioning about the opportunity zone. Now I want to just at a high level connect the dots, right? And the fact that now, if everything's isolated and we're building everything back in America, how that opportunity stack could, I just want to dream build with the audience real quick, right? Imagine you're a veteran, disabled veteran, 10% service connected disability. You got this grand idea. You understand that, let's say for instance with drones, the drones, they may be one and done. What if you created it, and I like using drones as an example because I see a great opportunity in that, but a drone that is more armored, more sustainable, that could last longer, right? And it take less human lives. Like we have foot soldiers that they're sending over there, but what if we could just use drones or robots and all that? I say you have this grand idea, and you could take that, and you want to build these drones or humanoid robots, whatever you want to call it, and you want to give that to the military, or not give that to the military, but use that as something for the military to be able to utilize, and you have your benefit where you can get funded to then go to SBIR and create the idea, just the MVP idea, and then market that to the government to where they can give you the funds to then build out that component, your drones, your humanoids, and then taking that to the next level to where you then can get essentially a sole source contract for that. So, Mr. Cotton, could you just elaborate on that?
Mr. Hill, I want to stop you, man, because you delivered that soliloquy, you delivered that message like with such passion, right? There is an underlying current that I want to get at, right? And
Okay.
because it sounds to me like you're saying this with such passion because you've got something you're trying to share with people that you don't want them to miss, right?
Yeah.
Is that so what is, first of all, who are those people that you are so passionately trying to talk to? Who
The
are you talking
disabled
to?
to our disabled veterans, our veteran community, our disabled veterans who can, pretty much save America. That's what I'm gonna call it. We could save America and we could innovate and we have all the opportunities. It's nothing but if you have anything that is against that, that means you're just using excuses because there's literally no excuse to the reason why you can't build out something and build generational wealth. You got the funds on multiple levels and you have the ability to have a capital stack. And then,
Okay, so I mean, I hear all of that stuff
mhm,
that you're saying,
mhm,
but why should I be interested in taking that risk, right? And I'm just going to define myself, right?
mhm,
I'm a veteran, right? I
mhm,
spent 25 years in service,
mhm,
uh, honorably discharged from the military,
mhm,
and I left with a disability, so I have a 30%
mhm,
disability. And I had a skill set in the military
mhm,
that I was able to parlay into a civil service job. So I now have a job with an agency that is supplementing the pension. You talk about this capital stack here, right? They're supplementing the pension that I'm getting from the government. And
mhm,
so right now, with my pension from the government and with the income that I'm getting from my civil service job, right? I'm a part of the upper K in the economy. My family
mhm.
and I are living in we're above the middle class living. And so what you're telling me is that I have an opportunity to go and do this entrepreneurial thing that has this meteoric possibility. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, yeah, and even to that point, right? When you look at we're in a contested logistics environment right now, and the fact that AI is coming online, and because of Doge efforts is cut down the government agency employees by tremendously. I would ask, and the fact that you making a lot of money, but those have caps. They have caps, and with inflation, you got to ask how long is it before you're going towards that bottom K. But yeah, to your point, yes, it's a very large lucrative opportunity, and for you to be able to give back to the nation in a
Okay,
different
and
way.
so I'm just playing devil's advocate here
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm over here with my pension from
Mm-hmm,
the military,
mm-hmm,
and healthcare is paid for. I use my VA home loan. I got a house, and again with my you know GS-15, my SES job with the federal government,
mm-hmm,
I'm living good. I'm living, and so I hear what you're saying about this, meteoric opportunity for this bird in the bush, right? I,
mm-hmm,
I, I hear it. I'm trying to I'm trying to justify the risk because I got
mm-hmm.
this bird in the hand, and I'm good, right? This entrepreneurial thing sounds risky.
I think having a job is riskier because your fate is in control of somebody else's hands. And I mean, it was a real life it was real life experience that happened just this past year, this administration. So I think that's the perfect indicator to let you know that if you give them permission to feed you, you give them permission to starve you.
And okay, I'll accept the fact that the economic indicators are questionable.
Hmm.
There have been some right sizing and downsizing in jobs because of AI
Hmm.
that are quite concerning, and
Hmm.
there's some promises that AI is going to do some more disrupting that is concerning. So you know, that still is just a spur under my saddle, right?
Hmm.
That that
Hmm.
that's not that's not gonna make me get off of this horse and jump over into this entrepreneurial space. So um help me make that leap.
Yeah, I mean, $1.3 trillion, in contracts full and open that you could go grab as a disabled veteran. The fact that they have their both the House and the Senate have the same bill for veteran-owned small business preference programs, 5% across all agencies. Uh, I didn't want to say but I'm gonna just say, if you read it, you'll see the sole source authority. Um, the fact that everybody else is every other small business status is pretty much obsolete because of DEI. It's a wide open lane. It's literally a wide open lane for a veteran, service disabled veteran on small businesses who understand that if they work with a bigger business, that they can go after any contract that they want. So it's
Now
open for them.
I wanna make sure that you understand, Mr. Hill, that I believe I understand what you're saying.
Hmm.
I believe I understand that what you're saying is that there is a entrepreneurial opportunity over here
Hmm.
that's available to me because I did service to this nation,
Hmm.
and that entrepreneurial opportunity is a relatively virgin opportunity because the
Yeah.
not a lot of people have taken full advantage of it. It's still
Yeah.
there. And I understand you to say that there are some proven best practices
Yeah.
that have taken people like me from zero to multimillionaire in this pathway, right? And
Yeah.
I understand that you're saying that's available to me.
Hmm.
But what I'm having a difficult time understanding is why I should risk the comfort of my GS job, right? Because I'm probably 8 to 12 years away from that retirement where I'll be a double dipper, right? And so why should I risk that on this entrepreneurial pipe dream?
Yeah. I mean that okay, so
Let me answer that question for them. You're doing it for your kids,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You can't will a job to someone else, right?
that
When you have a entrepreneurial opportunity, and I'm talking to my veteran community, where you have an entrepreneurial opportunity that's connected to a demand signal that is as large as this one, it's 1.3 trillion dollars. The risk is reduced significantly by the magnitude of the available opportunity. And so you can stay connected to the employment pathway in an environment where it's promised to be disturbed by AI. It is promised that your job or your neighbor's job or your job is going to be affected because your neighbor's job got affected by AI. And so the reason that you want to at least put a toe in this water, and you don't have to dive in, is because the impending calamity that's about to hit the job market is going to hit you, and it's going to eliminate your ability to provide future value for your family. Whereas this entrepreneurial path puts you in possession of a asset, puts you in possession of a generational wealth producing asset that you can pass on to your family.
And I just want to double down because I know entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's not for every disabled veteran. Some, some are complacent with what they have. But again, to your
I would
point,
disagree with that. I would disagree with that because if it's not for you, it's for someone in your family, right? If it's a medallion, if it's a resource that you have, and you have a sister, brother, uncle, cousin who can use it, it would be foolish for you to throw it away. It would be foolish for you to not take it and bring it into a blessing employment and relationship with that other family member so that you could create a family limited partnership outcome with your benefit or asset. So
that's very valid. That's very valid. Yeah, you got no pushback from me on that one. Yes, sir.
yeah, I think that what Mr. Hill is trying to say, and I'm going to double down, I'm going to co-sign with him on this one, is that there is a need that America has right now to reshore our manufacturing assets, right, to revitalize our supply chain. And him and her who bore the battle now has the first right of refusal, right? We're the safe harbor. And like that sign says behind me, like, who should rebuild America's defense industrial base? We believe that it should be the veterans. And we now have a unique challenge on our hands with this war, with this action that we have that's made America less safe from a kinetic perspective and less safe from an economic perspective. And so we need our servicemen and women to come back into the employ of these United States of America to restabilize our economy. And we want to help you get that accomplished. And I'm going to put the big talking stick down.
One last question. Are we officially in a contested logistics environment? And maybe I should go back before and maybe just briefly explain about contested logistics. When we have a contested logistics is essentially when there's a disruption in our supply chain, right? So when you look at the Strait of Hormuz and look at the 20% of the oil come through there, now we're looking at a contested environment because that's something we're not controlling. And plus, they wanted to build a more resilient, and them meaning America wants to build a more resilient supply chain, more resilient supply chain. Now we're kind of in a space where it's a not a nice to it. It's now we have to. Is that, are we in a contested logistics? That's the question.
Yes. Yes. We've created a contested logistics environment with our action in the Middle East, which is currently choking off 20% of the world's cheap oil, which is exploding LNG gas trains, which is going to create a need for us to recover logistically from this challenge. And yes, we are already deep within the throes of a contested logistics environment, and the reverberation, the ripple effects of it are going to be economic. I mean, contested logistics, how powerful is it? Last week, I was paying $3 a gallon for gas because I put premium in my car. I don't care what y'all say. Today, I'm paying full 50, and I expect it to go to $5 a gallon, right? Contested logistics, integrating with the economics creates a challenge that makes America less safe. So that's where my charge, and I've been saying this for the better part of 10 years. I remember I used to go to the VSO meetings and I would say, them not meeting the 3% contracting goal for disabled veterans is a national security issue. And even my fellow veterans would look at me as if I was crazy, as if I had three eyes. But I feel today, as I felt then, that the rate at which future generations will serve in the defense of this nation is directly and proportionately associated with how they saw past generations being treated by this grateful nation. And the fact that we were not meeting the 3% goal in an all volunteer Army, environment, I thought that that was going to have a demonstrative negative effect on recruiting, and it did. And so the national security implication of it was fewer men and women are eager to do as I did, raise their right hand, put their hand on the Bible, and swear oaths to defend the Constitution against foes foreign and domestic. We are now in a situation where the contested logistics challenge that Mr. Hill just talked about has created a less safe environment in these United States for all Americans. And therefore, I am urging him and her who is bearing the battle, him and her who bore the battle, to start thinking about taking advantage of the benefit that this grateful nation gave you under Public Law 10650 and get into the game. Get into the game. Help us reshore our manufacturing assets, right? Help us shore up our supply chain. Help us innovate on the solutions and technologies that we're going to allow the world to beat a path to our door to buy. You have the ability to do that, and you have programs like the Small Business Innovation and Research Grant Program, SBIR, where the government will give you $1.5 million for the ideation, $30 million to build the prototype. You've got a grateful government that's looking to support him and her who bore the battle, which is why I said some years ago that America wants its veterans to be rich. And I said, if that weren't so, there wouldn't be evidence of it. And in the next show, Mr. Hill, let's lay out all the evidence. Let's show them all of the advantages that this grateful nation has put in place so that we can help that veteranpreneur who is currently shackled with a ball and chain job make the decision to break the chain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, guys, so that's the reason for you to tune back in on Monday. I am Ratwan Hill. That is Mr. Walter Cotton III. Y'all have a great weekend.